Someone says, "What's the future?" Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our 60th episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. I can't believe I've done 60 of these, but they go by fast, I guess. It feels like not that long ago that I just did 50, probably because it wasn't that long ago. But regardless, here we are. I've been doing a bunch of these, and this is a special one. We have one guest who it's his third time coming on, maybe even fourth. I think I had him on another time too. But before we talk about him, I gotta talk about myself. I gotta do it. It's just how things run around here, and you just have to accept it. So let's talk about my comic book, Phenomenova. So set 20 years after World War III, Phenomenova follows this teenage boy named Miles Hanksley, who is the son of a war hero, and he is struck by lightning while holding this mysterious crystal, and he finds himself awakening with lightning powers and super speed. And he uses those powers to donning a makeshift costume and becomes a superhero like the brave ones that fought during World War III. And he finds himself in way over his head trying to fight a villain that is totally out of his league at a nuclear reactor. This is going to be the first issue. It's going to be 64 pages of story, and I wanted to lead into an ongoing team book. But before we get to the team, I wanted to just really spend some time getting to know my main character and giving a kind of more self-contained first story. That's not to say that there isn't an open door for more, but I really wanted people to feel like they've got something full. So if that sounds interesting to you, it launches on April 19th. All the information you could want is on this page, including information about the fan art contest that I have going. All you got to do, sign up for the mailing list, and you will get this exclusive free trading card when you back the book at a physical level. So make sure you guys do that. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and close that. The link is in the chat. It is also in the description. But without further ado, I'm going to talk about another book I'm working on as an editor with the whole creative team. Everyone's on board. So let's bring in Nick Capon, Tori Wilkinson, and Fran. How you doing, Fran? How you guys doing?
How are you tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm doing well. I've been working and still working. But it's good. It's good.
I feel like this is the first time that we all are collectively in the same vicinity, even though it's like a virtual vicinity. Because I feel like we've all been like scattered. Like there will be some shows and events where it's like, oh, it's just me and Tori, and then me, Fran, and then you, and then you, Tori, and me. And I'm like, it's like the one time we're all like together.
Yes,
which I love.
Yeah, it's I've been in the room with all of you, hung out with all of you, but it was like at a Garden State show, it was Nick and Tori, and then in MegaCon, it was Fran and Nick.
Oof, MegaCon. No, we don't talk about that one.
Why don't we talk about that one? I don't remember anything.
What happened at MegaCon?
Well, maybe not for you guys, but I got.
Well, then why did you? I wouldn't have said thought anything if you just didn't.
Fran, what'd you do?
I mean, I'm almost positive now that it's been like over a couple months. I think I'm pretty positive I had COVID that weekend. But yeah, because like I'll never forget, like I flew down and then I lost my voice like that Friday night, and just my luck, I had to do a panel that I was speaking at, and my voice and me and Fran were on the panel, and it was almost comical because I literally was like, sorry guys. My voice is I'm very silly. I literally sounded like dog shit.
Oh my god.
That's bad. That's really bad. Well, that's unfortunate, but I don't remember you sounding that bad at the panel. How many panels did you do?
We did a lot of panels, right?
You did multiple panels?
Three. I think three.
Yeah.
3. Okay.
I thought you said 43.
Yeah, I thought he said that too.
That's so many panels.
It's like, no, you did not. No, you did not. Yeah. So we're here because Nick decided, in his infinite wisdom, that he needed me as an editor, because I guess someone dropped off, and he was like, "All right, Mom, you got to do it." No, but jokes aside, he brought me on, and you guys were already on board, right? You guys worked on the first issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
OG anchor.
all right. Well, I can't claim that, but I'll do. I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'd compare my. Who came on in the second? I guess an editor. Really, there's no like famous.
You're Augustus Caesar to Julius.
Well,
Two times better.
We'll go with that, man. So Purity right here is we have 100 backers. Yeah, I saw it at 99 earlier. I was like, dude, come on.
Yeah. I was like,
backers.
yeah,
But that's, we could get more. I mean, this book. I'm really proud of being, an editor on this book. It was really cool. Because it was cool because I had Nick on before I was involved with it. The other, I don't think, actually, I mean, this isn't really a big deal in comics necessarily, but it's kind of a unique thing because it's like, I've been an editor on, I think this is the first time I jumped on as an editor to a series that was going.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really interesting because it was like, but it was also interesting because in a way, even though I wasn't literally there from the beginning, I had known about it. I had you on, you were promoting issue 1. And, so it's really cool just seeing it like on being on both sides of the fence almost. Outside looking in and now inside looking out. And I really like that actually. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I think it was definitely always whenever, and obviously I tell this to other creators when it comes to making their books. And obviously having an editor is always an option, but it's never mandatory. But working in the industry and being used to working on a creative team where there is an editor on site, I just became like so used to it that I almost would feel like a lost puppy if I didn't have an editor on my book. I would just I would basically have to like second guess everything I do. And I say that in a little bit more of an exaggerated way because I'm not super I'm not saying like I'm very insecure about my work, but like I feel like when I just do it without the help of an editor, I always am like, can I could send this off to get inked, right? I'm like mentally, I'm like, wait, why am I asking myself that? I finished this page, but like I think having an editor and having that like extra set of eyes, like kind of like your co-pilot almost, it's like it's really helpful. And when it even like doing the numbers for issue 1, when I was doing all like the finances and like breaking it down, I thought to myself, I'm like, what's the first financial expense am I going to make on this? What do I feel is mandatory? What's needed? And 2 things in particular popped to my mind. I needed an editor, like immediately. I needed an editor, and then I needed an inker. But then what I really need, because I'm like I'm not confident in, is my lettering. So I knew right off the bat an editor and a letterer I needed. And especially maybe it's because when I was a student at the Kubert School, my lettering instructor at the time, the legendary High Eisman, pretty much told me I wasn't a letterer. He was like, yeah, this is like, because everything I would hand in would have like, he had this dreaded red pen of that he would use to correct, and it looked like someone bled all over my page. So I was not a letterer, and I proudly tell that to people, where I could attempt to letter, but it's not going to be good. So I knew going in I needed an editor and a letterer, and then I wanted to also break the the process a little more, so where it's not only convenient for me, but also I noticed, because I ink Reign of Ages with Sinopa Publishing, but I noticed that I'm not a strong inker, and while I can ink, I just feel it's not going to convey what I want. So when it came to Purity, I knew I also really wanted an inker, and not only will it help me improve my art, but it gives that nice break in the process there where I can recoup in the colors. So I'll go from pencils to color, and it just it weirdly alleviates some stress, even though we're doing the same process, like pencils, inks, colors, and letters. But it just, I don't know, it just feels like it alleviates a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think more creative projects need editors because I think people need to be able to. It's kind of like how we have conversations with ourselves in our heads every day, right? People need a wall to bounce off of. People need, and I need it too. I found like when I'm not talking to editors, I'm often just sending my stuff to other creatives or just going, "Hey, what do you think of this? Do you like this?" Yeah, I think it's really important for people to do that.
And then like especially, I think it was from a Batgirl story, but it was like an infamous tweet where it was like Batgirl in a bathroom, but there was no door whatsoever, and it was like it was like becoming viral, and I'm thinking to myself, that's why you need an editor, or if whatever editor was on that book didn't, I'm like how did that pass editorial? And I'm like, I don't want that for my book.
I don't know if I've seen that one, but that's interesting.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Like literally she's trapped in this bathroom. It's like her own bathroom, but like there's no door. And I think if I'm not mistaken, the floor is also like warped in a sense where you can't tell what's like maybe like a little
no, it's not that there's no door. Here's what it is. It's even better than that.
The tub was like messed up or something.
Yeah,
I think the tub was blocking the door.
The tub is blocking this door.
Yeah, that's what it was.
There you go.
And the plunger isn't. This is a disaster.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I remember seeing this and everyone was like, "Why is it? Why? How did this happen?
How did she get in?"
The rug under the toilet and tub, I kind of like, unless that's supposed to be tile, but
wait, no, that's not, you can't have a rug under the toilet. Oh my god! Wait, hold on. This is
splash zone. You gotta watch out for splash zone.
Yeah.
Hang on, how did an inker? So an inker also went through this, and a colorist, and so the writer, penciler, inker, colorist.
I think it came out saying that it wasn't a door. Like there's like a zoomed out version of that panel, and you see the whole thing. I think, and it's not a door. It's just like a change of wall or something, or it was miscolored. But it definitely was incorrect.
There's no way.
It does look like a door.
Then why is it bolted there?
Right? Like they tried to cover it up, and I was like, "No, that's a door, and you fucked up."
A door.
It's okay if you messed up, but like just like if you messed up one panel, like it's not the end of the world. I'm not saying I would overlook that. I would consider it a mess up as an editor, but like it's okay to just own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's nuts. Wow.
Yeah. But that gave me like seeing that like panel weirdly gave me anxiety to the point where I'm like, all right, that's why I need an editor for this book. I was like,
that's a good reason.
Yeah.
All right. So that's so I'm the door. So I'll have to look out for doors.
Yeah.
Strange doors in bathrooms that don't make sense.
There's no doors on these. First of all, that's my biggest editor's note right now. No doors on any of these pages. Like, what are you doing?
No door.
There's a gate.
What did you hire me for?
Yeah. Oh.
I don't.
Yeah. No doors. No doors in the underworld. It's all just openings.
Nick has so much anxiety over that door that he wrote "no doors in purity."
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They don't exist.
He went out of his way to just avoid the problem entirely. No, he uses because there is like dimensional portals in this, so everyone in the future that he's created has portals to avoid drawing doors at all costs. You just teleport into the room.
I mean, since we dive into the future, I can't avoid doors unless I make them like automatic opening doors where I'm like, oh, that's fine. They just sliding doors.
Or you could just keep not. Are there any doors in issue 1? Issue 2.
Wait, maybe on page 1 if it's
background.
I was gonna say the houses.
Yeah.
I remember inking at least one wooden door. At least one wooden door. Not like no handle, just a plank of wood.
Was it fun? Did you have fun doing that?
It was a blast.
Yeah, and
highlight of that page.
Yeah, and like speaking of that too, I I know Fran inked over me once before working on Purity on a Reign of Ages cover, but this was Fran's first interior gig with me. So this was
it?
Yeah, and it's weird because
with the first book or this one?
With the first book, and
yeah,
and I never before that I never really had someone ink over me, so it was very. At first, I'll be honest, it was very weird having someone ink over me, but because I didn't adjust to it just like right then and there. But now that I see it, and you can really see it in like issue 2, I think Fran's inks complement my stuff a lot because he gives like that nice, almost like animated feel. Like it, like like the style of Purity it's like in that there's like a fine balance of like it could be like a 90s image book or it could be ready for an animated series. And I think the way Fran inks over me, it complements all of those things. So like even like in issue 1 when drawing those huts and all the houses in Salem, I wanted to let him play around with it, but he really delivered and made it, like I said, a really cool animated feel.
Oh, that's kind. Thank you, Nick.
Is that what you were going for? I mean,
yeah. Honestly, I've always preferred a slick, clean, animated style. I don't want to say Archie-esque, but I've always been a fan of the Bruce Timm kind of hero. I mean, it's just so clean and precise, and the curves, thick to thins. That's always my motto when I ink. I always think about what's my foreground, what's my middle ground, what's my background, what's gonna have the thickest lines, what's gonna have the thinnest lines, and then how am I gonna make it look sexy?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think also what's really like, I know me and Fran had this discussion prior to him inking, but like some of my influences, I grew up an Archie kid, so like I grew up looking at Fernando Ruiz's stuff. I've looked at Dan DeCarlo stuff, Dan Perrin stuff, and having Fernando as an instructor, I feel like my stuff is what I call Archie coded. Even if you like look at the layouts, you can see like, oh, that's an Archie panel. So going in, and especially when I worked with Giselle Lagasse as well, she's also like an Archie-ish artist. I looked at my artwork and it had a little bit of that. So, and fortunately, Fran has inked over Fernando and Giselle. So I knew going in, I told Fran, the way you ink over Fernando and Giselle, ink over me like that as well. So like give it that Archie-ish flair without going too Archie, and like allowing it to kind of also dive in like that, like more 90s image style. And I know especially with issue 2, I was talking to Fran, especially too, Fran wants to ink most of the book traditionally. And so I told him really up the textures. Like now you could go like Archie meets like Silvestri, and I want some like more texture in there, play around with it. So I'm, as you could tell, I don't want to sound like micromanaging everything, but I feel like I'm very hands-on with my entire, like everyone on my team. And I'm sorry in advance if I sound like I'm super controlling about it.
It's interesting though. It's I mean, hearing your process from that perspective, because it's kind of like for me. I mean, I see the thumbnails and stuff, and it's kind of like I'm a kind of a Nick and I talk. I don't really talk to these two creatively. I just haven't had to, which is fine. And it's interesting to hear that. It's also interesting because it's like, Nick, you're on my comic, for example, your roles are split up between 3 people, but you've got writing duties, you've got the penciling and coloring. So
yeah,
when it comes to that, and then is that done last?
Me and Tori work pretty hand in hand with I usually Tori gets pages during the ink stage, and because since this book, the campaign offers a black and white option of the book, it just kind of slowly chips away at that, and then really what comes down to it is just swapping the images. But I'm more hands-on with Tori. With for example, this is a perfect page. One thing I wanted to keep super consistent with it, where I wanted Satan to have a certain dialogue color. I wanted her dialogue to be vastly different from Purity's, from Vex and Amadeus, like all the other human and humanoid characters. And so I was like, maybe like we were playing around with some like color options even for like the balloons. And I thought, why don't we make it a black balloon with a white stroke and white font, and it kind of matches her halo horn, and like it just kind of radiates more of a chaotic feel to the character. So we were playing around with that, and then obviously certain sound effects we were playing with as well. The funny, I have like a funny story about one of the sound effects. We were trying to bounce off like there was I think going down where she's like slicing the guy's hand off. We were trying to figure out that sound effect because we were very stumped. So Tori trained under Taylor Esposito, who is, I call him the king.
My first comic book.
Yes, Taylor.
First book I read it.
Taylor's the king of lettering, in my opinion. But Tori and I were stumped, so we're like, you know what? We're gonna speed dial Taylor, and I like to randomly ask him these questions when he's like either driving home or something. So I call him, and I'm like, Taylor, quick question. What's the sound you would make if you grab a knife and you clean off a guy's hand, like right off their body, like as quick as possible? And then he literally came up with that sound effect. There was another instance, I think in issue 1, where Purity she falls down into like the ground and smacks her face on the ground. And I literally text Taylor this like cryptid message where it's like, Taylor, what's the sound effect you would type out if someone pushed you off a ledge really hard and you landed on your face and there's blood I literally sent him this like I'm like plotting something almost.
I've read your script, but I'm trying to remember if you put sound effects. Because I think about that because like I can visualize certain, like obviously in X-Men there's Bamf. I think Cyclops is like what, Shracked or something like that.
Something like that.
And like sometimes that dude, because I was thinking with my lightning power is like Crackoom, or do I want to do like Jack? I don't know. Like you can't do Zach, obviously. That's like you think of stuff like that. And it seems silly, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I can say for certain that I've been reading comics alone in my room, and I'm like just sounding it out. Like I'm like quietly like, like whatever it is.
I think literally for that sound effect where she's cleaning the guy off, me and Tori were like not shouting at each other, but we were trying to sound out this sound effect where we're like, how does like, we're literally even like, we're almost like doing like charades where we're like we're just like, like we're just trying to like, how do we spell that?
Yeah, no, it's a different art to try to figure out what sounds are spelled out as. Taylor is definitely really good at that.
I almost feel like there should be like an encyclopedia made by letterers that have like an array of different sound effects. Being like flipped, the sound you would make when you're cutting some guy's hand off. Like
flipped is a new one.
Yeah, but it works.
Yeah.
Wait, would it be?
Like,
I guess.
Yeah.
It kind of does work, man. Because you could also just have the literal words like / be a sound effect if you want it. But I guess that's not. That's interesting, man. That's really.
I think I'll tell you the truth.
Lettering is like deceptively. There's a lot. The comic book medium, I would argue, in general, is deceptively simple because it's like, oh, it's just colors and or like it's just the art and you put the words. It's like no, it's actually. When you see it, you realize how much goes into it.
My computer's gonna die.
Oh no.
Can you just do all right? You hang on. We gotta talk about this as an editor. Your live. So Nick did this live stream on, and he goes, "All right, we're having a launch party on Facebook." Starts the launch party. Like 10 or so minutes go by. I think like 30 minutes go by. I'm like, is this starting? And then I just decide to check Facebook, and he's live, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just didn't know how to invite people." I'm like, you didn't figure this out before you did the.
No.
So anyway, then he does it, and then I'm watching his stream. And then it just abruptly ends.
Yeah. That'll probably be my first and last Facebook Live, because now I'll probably just do it like on StreamYard or something.
Yeah,
because,
Jesus, dude.
Because
was there not a big red? Because for me, there's literally a big red button that says end stream.
So with it, so you could either share your screen and leave it permanently shared, and like you can't see yourself, and it's just the shared screen. But I didn't know that if you wanted to stop sharing and just go back to, your camera, it ends the stream. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I think it ended at a really important question. Like someone asked a question in the middle of answering it, which is like typical fashion, where that's the best time to end your stream, I guess. But I was like, oh yeah. Oh, I'm like, oh fuck, and I make a new live, and I tag everyone. Guys, I'm sorry, I suck.
Wow, that's nuts.
It makes it memorable, so it's okay.
Yeah.
This is cool though, man. It looks great. The book looks like a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Here we go. Obviously we got the team here. So why don't we tell everyone, for those of you that are just hearing about this book, Nick, why don't you do the honors of telling everyone what Purity is about?
Okay. So I'm going to preface this where Purity is a fantasy bad girl comic book series. If you are a fan of Lady Death, Evangeline, Billy Tucci, it's definitely in that realm, that plethora of characters. And I've deemed it as, the newest bad girl character on the block. She is what I also pin her the nickname to it. It's called, I call her the heroic Hellion, because that's what she is. Her story starts off in the Salem witch trials, and like a majority of the cases of that time period, she was not a witch. She was just a Puritan woman. She was a goody two shoes, if you want to call her that. But she was it was like a big scheme. It was she was accused by her sister, but there was an underlying issue that was happening behind closed doors, where it was all part of a blood sacrifice to Satan, where the soul of a virgin was sacrificed and goes to Satan, which is Margaret Adams, our Purity, and the actual witch, her sister Mary, is saved and lives a life of immortality and beauty. And enslaved for 500 plus years, Purity finally has it. And she helped these people down under, and that's why she garnered the nickname Purity, because even down under, she was still the ray of light that people saw. I think in issue 1 there was a quote she says where she has to be the form of hope in the underworld, where hope is nowhere to be found. So she one day, after all of this, she just has it. She hasn't seen her sister. It's been 500 plus years. Her sister should have been sent to hell. And then she finally is revealed what happened. And she was part of a blood oath. And now she's hot and bothered, and she's angry, and she wants revenge. And so she decides to pull, if anyone is familiar with Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler movie, she decides to she decides to pull Little Nicky and run through the gates of hell, and freezes the gates in the process. And obviously Satan is not happy about this, because no new souls can now enter and fuel her power. So, which leads into issue 2. Purity awakens back into the mortal world, and it was successful. However, it's not the Salem she knew back in the 1600s. It's now Salem 2096. And yeah, and not only is she on the hunt for her sister, who put her there, she doesn't realize that Satan is also sending bounty hunters up there to hunt Purity. So she's also being hunted herself. So I would say, in long story short, Purity is just a story about revenge and redemption. Like I said, it's a very if you like heaven and hell characters, if you like that, I feel like I've already had people tell me two bad girl books that it really seems like similar, like influenced by, I don't want to use the word similar, but like you could tell that, I was inspired by it, was Evangeline by Rob Liefeld and Brian Polito's Lady Death, obviously. So there's just a lot of heaven and hell, lots of action. I obviously don't skimp out on the sexiness of it. We have a very attractive character. And even for those who haven't read issue 1, Satan in this story is a female, a sexy redhead. I was asked by a random person because Purity's sister Mary is also a redhead. So someone jokingly went to me, "Are you like villainizing redheads in your story?" Because
hold on a second. Now
Satan's a redhead. Yeah, Satan is a redhead, and it also Purity's sister is a redhead. And so she's like, "What do you have against redheads, Nick? Did like a redhead break your heart or something?" I'm like, "Oh, I completely did not even know until it was like, oh wow, you're right."
Nick has a vendetta
against redheads.
Against redheads.
My mom's a redhead. I have to tell
Oh,
her. Like, Mom, this guy I'm editing for is kind of a. Look out for him. I don't know. I don't think he can trust you. These covers all look great, man. We got let's go through all the covers. I mean, but one of the things I will say before I get into the covers, because I'll mention this, is because we were just talking through what Nick has. It's a good story, and one of the things that I like about working with Nick is there are a lot of and I'll say this in general. There's a lot of artists in general that create comics, but don't think that writing is really. When I say don't think writing is an art form, what I mean by that is it's not as simple as, and I think sequential storytelling is obviously a form of storytelling. However, writing and thinking of things like themes and pacing and getting the plot dynamics and all of that there is just as important, because the pretty art, especially because here's the thing with a bad girl book, and this is the thing, if you want to do a few issues, that's great. But the truth is, and Nick and I had this conversation, there's always going to be a new bad girl book. So it was a matter of, okay, how do we keep this franchise fresh? How do we make it where it's something more? I'll be honest, look, Witchblade is hot, but you wouldn't read 40 issues. I wouldn't read 40 issues of Witchblade just because she's hot. I could skim. I wouldn't actually read the issues. Let's put it that way.
And I think that's why, like, Witchblade, Lady Death, even she had like a long-lasting run, because, the one thing that I've noticed with a lot of bad girl books today, and I'm not here throwing people under the bus or trying to sound petty, but I think, you need those qualities of a bad girl book. You need the sexiness. You need like the strong female lead, and but I feel like what a lot of bad girl books today lack is substance, and that's why you look at Billy's stuff. You look at Brian Polito's Lady Death. Yes. You look at, there's substance to those characters in the story, and it keeps people coming back. And then it almost feels like, the sexiness and the qualities of a bad girl book just complement it, and it just you're getting that classic archetype of the story, but also you're getting a quality story. So
my mic quiet. I'm sorry, 1 second. Is the chat screwing with, because they do this all the time? I can't tell. Like, are they gaslighting me? Is my mic fine, or what's the deal?
I could hear you.
You sound fine.
John, shut up, man. I'm kidding. I love you. I don't ever want to tell the chat to shut up. No, but anyway, yeah, man. I mean, she like is a story that I was just finishing Shisen Ryaki, and there was all this in-depth talk about how they wanted to include history and all this thought. I think even Kurt Busiek had a part where he's like, I didn't read She at first because I just like, oh, there's a bunch of hot girl books. Okay, whatever. How many of those books really stick with you? So when one is good, it's makes you want the next one, because I can get a bunch of bad girl books issue 1. Okay. Yeah. Now we're at issue 2. And my whole thing was I was brought on after issue 1. I'm like, okay, let's assume the audience was bought in on issue 1. If they haven't, that's fine. You guys get in now. You can get issue 1 with it. Issue 1 gives you the backstory you need. But I'm like, okay, going forward, let's build something where we have a memorable character. Because, okay, she's hot. She's got a great design. None of that matters if the story isn't good. If I don't care about the character, it does not matter. Like, she stuck around because those 12 issues of Way of the Warrior and that She vs. Tomoe, the Tomoe miniseries, all that was a great story. And so because of that, I wanted more from it. I mean, I can't, there's so many Vampirella comics that I've read that I forgot about immediately.
I think, again, like, I've worked for Dynamite. I love their titles, but what I don't like what they're doing with Vampirella for a few years now, it's almost like it's pretty prominent that they just don't know what to do with the character. They're doing all these little mini series, but none of them ever connect. And usually in the mini series, there's no solution. It's almost like the story just almost ends abruptly.
Dude, I was shocked at how many Vampirella books are going on at once. There's like 5 titles at a time. And I'm like, what's the continuity of this series?
One thing that I think the last Vampirella series I read it actually made me angry towards the end was Vampirella versus Purgatory. And Purgatory, for those who are familiar with the character, used to be a Chaos Comics character. It was a Lady Death character before Chaos went under, and that's a whole other story. But anyways, you would think in the title, because it's called Vampirella versus Purgatory, that at some point they fight in this series. Not freaking once. They team up in the end, but they never fought. And I'm like, I literally finished the series and I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, why am I mad? Like, it's supposed to be, if that was the case, it should have been Vampirella and Purgatory, not Vampirella versus Purgatory, because you're literally
versus titles always go in that, but they didn't fight one time is ridiculous. But like, at least normally they're like fake outs where there's like a scuffle at best, and then they have like a villain. Like, I remember those memes where when Godzilla vs. Kong was coming out, but Godzilla and King Kong did actually fight in that movie. I mean, obviously they had
they did King Kong dirty, man. They did him dirty.
What are you talking about? I think they did him. They gave him a lot of. Let's be honest. Or side note, Nick. We'll get back to your book, but are we gonna at all pretend like King Kong versus Godzilla is a balanced fight? Like, it's not. Like, one's a gorilla and the other is like a nuclear.
Opposable thumbs. That's all I gotta say. Opposable thumbs. It's that simple.
I mean, and Godzilla could just eat him. So. Without opposable thumbs.
Atomic breath. Yeah, wasn't there a new one, Godzilla X Kong? Like, isn't
that just came out, I think.
Why is that movie like? Maybe it's good, and I'm just I don't know.
I've heard good things about it, but I haven't seen it.
Like anything, because I haven't been paying attention though. That's on me.
Well, someone told me this, and like I never thought of it that way. Mind you, I never was really into Godzilla, but the way to describe it, where Godzilla was just a person, like basically it's just a personified version of the atomic bomb.
Right.
That's literally what and I'm like, I never thought of it like that. I thought it was just
watched the original, because I didn't see the original until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Watch the original movie, dude. It is so good. Like, because the original is a very serious film, and you could just tell, even though it's never, I don't think Hiroshima and Nagasaki are mentioned. I don't even think it once, but they don't have to. It's like so obvious that it was like on their minds and they were making that movie.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then -1 is like a very good, different, more optimistic look. Like, the original is a very, I don't want to say it is depressing, but like there's more to it. It's not just that. It's like, but it's like a messed up movie. The newer one is more optimistic, but -1 was phenomenal. It was so good.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
Yeah, dude, you do. But anyway, getting back to Purity. So, does everyone have a favorite bad girl book on panel? I know Nick obviously has Lady Death. Mine, I mean, I'm not as educated as Nick. Even though I've read the most Vampirella comics, I'm going to have to say she is my favorite one. Not just because I'm friends with Billy, but because I remember every she story I've read. Vampirella, some of them are good. Like, I like Tom Stigowski's run, but then some of them I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
and the character is so all over the place with continuity. I don't know what the hell her backstory
I
is.
think I said this like last podcast, but I my hot take on Vampirella though, because I know a lot of people pan her as like the first bad girl comic book character, and in a certain degree, yes, but I don't, because the thing is, because she was always more of a cult character, like, you know, the pulpy horror character. But I really think it wasn't until the 90s where, because I think Lady Death really put the genre as its own on the map. You know, it made it into something, and then with the help of the help of Witchblade, hit it more into like mainstream audiences, because I think Lady Death was still pretty indie in the early 90s, where she was very successful, but with the whole push for image, I think Witchblade just kind of took over. But I really think Lady Death is responsible for putting the bad girl genre on the map. Like, yeah, Vampirella could Vampirella can be the OG bad girl character, but it wasn't until the 90s where Lady Death and Witchblade really put it out there. So I know some people could disagree with that and be just like, oh no, Vampirella is just the OG bad girl for every, like, the genre and all that stuff. And like, it's fine, it's fair, but yeah, that's just my weird take on the genre. And then obviously too, what got me into the genre wasn't those two, actually. It was Jim Ballen's Catwoman run, and that you know, show me he made another book called Tarot Witch of the Black Rose, which, granted, 10-year-old Nick shouldn't have read Tarot Witch of the Black Rose, but I did anyways. But it just kind of put me more down the rabbit hole of bad girl comics, and then I was introduced to Lady Death and Witchblade, and Dark Child was another one that I liked.
Dark Child, okay.
Yeah,
you read like all of them, dude. You do like a tier list, like ranking bad girls.
Oh, I would gladly be a part of that.
Well, first let's try and get purity up there. But all right, Tori and Fran, I want to hear your guys' favorite bad girls. Actually, Witchblade might be. Well, Witchblade, she's more of a detective. It's weird because they call it bad girl books. Shit. Now I'm debating because I love Witchblade too.
You know, I know. So
Sonia, bad girl, technically.
Yeah, Red Sonja. Hang on, then Red Sonja is before. Oh, Red Sonja is what? Red Sonja is before Vampirella.
Yeah, because.
Yeah, but not in the visual medium, right? When was Red Sonja's first?
Red Sonja was originally a Conan character from the 60s. Then Marvel was publishing her own stuff with Frank Thorne, I think, in the 70s. Yeah. And then I think it wasn't until maybe the 90s where Dynamite, or like early 2000s.
73.
Yeah. But it actually
gotta be before.
Yeah. I think too, what people don't realize is that the bad girl genre stems from good girl art, from like the pinups from the 50s and 60s, and it was just like the anti of that. So I know it brings up to a debate where it's like, is Sarah Pazzini a bad girl? Is she a bad girl character? Because usually I think a lot of people affiliate a bad girl combo character as like either like a magic user, something like kind of like a chaotic character, comes from like a darker background, whether if it's like a hellish underworld or witchy. And usually they're like morally gray characters. Like they are like kind of like the anti-heroes. Like obviously, like I said, Catwoman is the standard.
Fatale.
Yeah, like a femme fatale is like more of a bad girl. But I think just at this point, people just, if it's a sexy female comic book character,
they call it a bad girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, like Student of God saying "Law Wonder Woman." There's no. So wait, hang on. What is the difference between good girl art and bad girl art? I don't get it.
Well, I think bad girl art, from what I noticed from my experience, I've seen a lot of good girl art be more like cutesy, tongue-in-cheek stuff, like very like, like I said, like the Gil Elfgren, like pin-up-y stuff, and like very like almost like the characters displaying sexuality and like an innocent kind of standpoint, where usually like bad girl stuff, people don't skimp away from the sexiness, but even take it to maybe the next level where, I don't want to use the word pornographic, but like in a way where it's a little more illicit, a little more for adult audiences. And, like I said, you have characters coming from like darker backgrounds. So you might play around with like witchcraft and darker theme stuff and incorporate that with the character. So that I think what would kind of differ from like good girl art and bad girl art. I mean, at this point in time, I think it's just, like I said, it's just mashed into one kind of category where you just have a sexy character. It's kind of like for example, if we're looking at like a mainstream comic book character, I consider like Emma Frost a bad girl character. She's sexy. She, for the most part, I kind of label her as somewhat of like a morally gray person for a while.
She wasn't. This is the thing I would say. In Claremont's run, she was this is where, because I've read the first. I knew her first, like when I heard about her. It was weird because in the movie she'd be just a villain, and then in the I remember when they did Wolverine the X-Men, that series, she was like more hero kind of bad girl, like you said. But in Claremont's run, dude, she is evil. Like Dark Phoenix Saga, she like tortures Storm. Dude, she kills Firestar's horse. Did you guys ever read that issue? Yeah. Straight up like psychically gives the horse a heart attack. And this is one of the most messed up things she's ever done. She gives this horse a psychic heart attack and then goes, Firestar, you scared her with the powers. Guess I gotta train you. Like that, the gaslighting. She blamed this poor girl who like had only one good thing going for her in her life, and it was like the horse. And she killed the horse. Like,
she was horrible.
Like, and then people are like, well, I'm curious what her redemption arc was. Because I haven't read it, but like, holy God.
I'll tell you the truth. I just look at her as just Scott's toxic girlfriend or toxic ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. She's like the black
Scott's
cat.
Had a few of those.
The X-Men.
Madeline
Oh, that's another character too. Black Cat, I think, is a bad girl comic book character. And usually, with the exception of Catwoman and Black Cat, I don't really affiliate like superhero characters as like bad girl.
What about Black Widow? She fits. Well, what about Elektra?
More Elektra. Specifically, because I've been reading it lately. Specifically, the Mike Deodato Jr. run.
Okay, yeah. Is that 90s?
Yeah.
Dude, Frank Miller wanted the character dead so badly that he had not one but two fake resurrection arcs in his Daredevil run, and they still brought her back. He was like, Elektra lives again. I was like, oh, she's gonna come back. She comes back and then dies by the end of the issue. I'm like, oh. Spoiler alert, but yeah.
The writer was like, oh, well, we had enough of that.
Frank is like, she is dead. I already did the resurrection issue and killed her then. I'm killing. Please keep her dead. And they were like, no, I'm not doing that. Same thing. Like Jean Grey got atomized, and they were still like, no.
Yeah.
No, she's fine. But yeah, what about Tori and Fran? Nick has named every bad girl in existence.
I did my research.
I'd say. I mean, since we're like making it such a broad thing,
thanks to Nick, dude. I just was like, bad girl, and Nick's like, well, here's the thing about bad girls. No, I'm kidding. I do appreciate it.
Huntress is pretty bad.
See, so he said one. So now, Nick, you're gonna have to defer to Nick. Is the Huntress a bad girl?
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Or Power Girl.
Power Girl is not a bad girl. Get the fuck out of here.
I feel like
Power Girl's a good girl.
Power Girl is a great character, but she's not. I don't think she's a bad. She's just a straight up.
You know what? We'll give it.
No, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
Yeah.
What aspects of a bad girl does she
Power
have?
Girl.
The way I look at Huntress, though,
Huntress absolutely fits the bill.
she's the only Jersey Italian representation I've seen in DC Comics. But
what does that have to do? All right, no, sorry, continue.
But it's like very stereotypical. Like she's from a mob family.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like it's almost like I'm like desperately waiting for someone to write her say like, forget about it, or like, hey yo, I'm walking. Like I wish they like write Huntress like that. It would be so hilarious.
One day.
Dude.
When Nick is writing Huntress.
Yeah.
Huntress being a bad girl makes sense. Right?
Yeah.
I'd say they have to kill is one of my core requirements for a bad girl.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
Which is why Power Girl is not a bad girl. She doesn't kill, right? I mean, I don't think so.
Huntress is my answer then.
Huntress is a good one. All right. Over to you, Tori. I'm sticking with she, even though I did consider Witchblade, but I think I'm going to stick with she for now.
It's a good one.
She's Italian, by the way. I mean, not she. Witchblade is Italian.
Yeah, Sarah Pazzini.
Sarah Pazzini.
See, I haven't really read any like bad girl books or anything. Like outside of like the DC comic ones we were naming.
Mainly made for guys, I've noticed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a suspicion, but I don't know.
I'm gonna say I didn't know anything about it until I met Nick 3 years ago. So my answer would have to be Purity.
Yeah.
Purity's a pretty good one. Yeah, Purity is gonna have for like PR purpose. Or for PR purposes, I'm gonna have to say Purity, and then when I'm appearing with Billy Tucci, I'll have to say she. I'll just be my answers will be just whoever is employing me at the time.
That's my answer. Purity is my favorite.
Purity is interesting because she's pure because I remember I'd have an in-depth conversation with Nick. I'm like, all right, she's a bad girl, right? But you described her as purity. I know that's inherently meant to be a contradiction. Let's dive in. And I think we just had, before we even got into specific editor notes, I think I just talked to him for like an hour just deep diving into the core of the character. Because look, she's hot. That was the case before I came on. Like, what am I going to give editors notes on? She's already, but like the point was, okay, well, we want them to actually read the book. You know, people want to get the cover. The cover will be great. The covers will all be great, but once they open the interiors and actually read it, because apparently I learned this from Bobby. A lot of you artist types I learned read comics by this is what Bobby told me. He's like, yeah, I don't actually like read comics. I just kind of look at the artwork. He's like, I mean, honestly, he doesn't, but he was like telling me, he's like, yeah, a lot of the time the way us artists read is we just kind of go through the art.
That's what I did as a kid.
So what am I?
Definitely.
I feel like
before you could read.
It's like 50-50 at this point, because I think since we're so like, I think when you focus on the art first and like, yeah, you read the story, but it's really hard for me to read a comic book and not go like, I'm reading the story and then like, wow, that person broke the 180 rule. Wow, look at that nice juicy tangent. I think because at the school we're just trained to look at different camera angle shots, like technical aspects of drawing. It's like you look at that to the point where it gets a little distracting from the story, but then you revert back to the story and read it. I'm like, oh, this is a good story, but this artist is kind of shitty.
That's why.
Or you have the opposite.
Yeah.
You have the opposite problem where you're looking at it and you're looking at the art being like, how did they do this? Like, I need to break this down on every level and spend 30 minutes looking at this to figure out how to do it so I can do it later, and you forget about the story.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting is I have literally no artistic talent at all, and all into writing. And I think that's why, it was cool being on this team, is because I knew I didn't have to, I mean, granted, not that I have anything to contribute art-wise, but it's cool because it was like, it showed that Nick was able to say, hey, this is something that I'm going to take seriously again. And Nick really like, throughout this project, like I'd give you like brutal notes and you would apply them, and your solutions, you'd be like, what do you think of this? And it'd be like, mostly good, maybe change this more. And to your credit, like, you are very good with taking criticism, not just taking it, because people can take criticism, but if you don't apply it, or you would work, I could tell that you probably, and maybe you could answer this, obviously I don't give you notes and then watch you write, so I don't know. I just know what the end result is, but I imagine you spent time like writing and rewriting it, right? Trying to really think it through. And I could tell, getting the script revisions back.
Yeah. And like, if you notice in like the last like draft of the script I sent, what I would do is I would change the font color of like edits so that way I place it in there, and then once it's like all fleshed out and corrected, I erase the original and place that like so it's really like this as you could tell when I first started sending you like rough drafts of scripts. I'm like a mess. I'm usually my scripts are usually pretty messy because like I'm constantly reworking stuff. But you slowly see after each draft gets like more refined and refined and refined to get where it is. But yeah, like I feel like the first rough draft is the most raw in a sense of I'm just throwing ideas in there. And so I don't know if Fran Tori know this, but like the original story for issue 2 started off as I think 22 pages of story.
Mm-hmm.
So now, as you know, issue 2 is 29 pages of story, and that's because
I forgot you got so many. You added so many.
Yeah, like me and Vaughn were like reworking things and going over ideas. And I think too, Vaughn helped me push Purity's character even more. And you can now see why they name her Purity. There's like one scene I'm very excited to draw.
That scene was one of my favorites in this. I totally forgot that scene didn't exist before because it just felt so natural to the character.
Yeah, like
it was like bringing out what was already there, I think, in your character.
Yeah, and like I'm not like I don't want to spoil it too much, but it involves like Purity helping this like homeless couple, and yeah, like it's at the very end of the story, but once I finish writing that and I pass it along to Vaughn, I'm like, this is it. This is the character. This is freaking like that's like we really get that nice taste of why she's called Purity Down Under, and she even though she's that's why she's the heroic Hellion, is because her soul is chaotic and corrupted from being enslaved in hell, but you could still see there's that pureness to her, and there's still that the good streak, and that's what she's the like I said, she is the vision of hope that the underworld needs. And so it was really a powerful scene. I love seeing that.
Absolutely, man. It was I mean this book is already great, and like I said, there's a digital edition for only $5 for issue 2, and then if you want issue 1 with it as well, digital. How much is that?
And there's 10 cover options. So if you scroll down, there's all these different options. The one thing I told myself from the get-go of working on Purity, I don't want to hold back. I'm not skimping on talent. I'm very picky and selective with who I have on board on covers. My tradition is I always do the main cover. So as you can see, I did the main cover.
I love your main cover, dude. Like, I love Satan in the background and her. It's like, because there's a lot of bad girl books that could just have a hot chick, and what I like about this cover is that there's story going on here. I'm always very picky about covers need to tell. I mean, they don't have to necessarily, there's some that don't, but like something that's either a striking image or like telling a story. And what I like is like all the storytelling and the composition in this one. I love this one.
Thank you. Yeah, I was looking at the layout and I was like, I wanted it to kind of have a little bit of like a nod to the 90s, but like what you mentioned is I wanted to show a story like Purity's on the run, but Satan is very unhappy and angry that this Puritan was able to slip through the cracks of the underworld. And like, the one moment where Satan is almost flawed, where like she was beat at her own game almost. So I wanted to show that emotion with the character.
And then we got
John Stingeman. Yep. So John Stingeman was the main artist on Evangeline in the 90s alongside Rob Liefeld. All of you watching are probably familiar with his work. Really great guy. I met him through a friend of mine who also puts out a bad girl book, Larry Higgins of Niobe Comics. And when I approached John for this cover, without hesitation, he was like, dude, 100%, I'll do this. He loved the character. And I was very hands-on with this cover. I gave John like a legit description, all these different references. And John wanted, because the one option I give all my cover artists, because I'm a colorist by trade. I've colored for a few companies. I usually color my covers. I give the artist the option, and John wanted to color it because he colors all of his covers on his own. So he says it really just makes it just complete by doing so. I'm like, all right. And he delivered. I was
gonna say, because I knew this wasn't your colors.
Yeah, like so what's happening here, and we talk more about it in the story. That necklace that Purity wears is part of her. It's what's kind of keeping her alive up in the mortal world, and she fuels hellish flames in there. It's like a health thing, just to restore her health. So I told John, let's play around with that idea where she's kind of like in all these different wisps of green flames, and she's like charging up her health. And yeah, he really delivered such a beautiful cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool, man.
And then Len Danovich. This was he's a friend of mine from back home in New Jersey.
Is he a fellow Jersey boy? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from Hackettstown. For those who I grew up by Hackettstown, but for those who know of Hackettstown, who's watching, that's where he's from. But yeah, Len, this was the first Purity cover I got for issue 2, and I had this for like a year. And Len really wanted to do a Satan cover. He specifically was like, I want to draw Satan. And I was all aboard. Usually with Purity cover runs, I at least have 2 Satan covers, or 1 to 2 Satan covers. And he did it such.
Most people have 1 to 2 covers, Nick.
I know. I know. But yeah, so the way he did it,
then I had 1 of Purity's sister, and then I had 1 of that random girl who walked down the street that was kind of hot.
Yeah, like once the character roster grows, man, you're gonna have like I'm gonna tally up those numbers. But yeah, so he did this all in ink wash, and then when I colored it, I was actually looking at one of the newer Rob Liefeld Prophet covers, and I love the background he had for one of them, and it worked really well with this. And someone said it almost looks, and this is like a weird description, like almost like Shakespearean, poetic. There's something like old about this. It's not like a typical like comic book styled cover. It's very like, it almost looks painterly, but it like I said, it looks poetic, Shakespearean, which I was like, thanks. Like, I don't know what that means, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it looks cool, man.
Yeah. And then the next one is Jen Leonard. She's a good friend of mine. She's a Zenoscope artist. I color over her pretty often. I knew I wanted her on a Purity cover. And she also did a print for this as well down the road. But yeah, that's Jen. I colored it, and a little bit more of a simple layout. But I like the idea of having Purity kind of like, cracking her knuckles. Like it kind of was like inspired by that Adam Hughes Black Canary cover, where I think Black Canary's like this, and she's like next or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I forgot that was Adam Hughes.
Yeah. And then the next one is
I love this one. Clearly you do too. I noticed you use it.
Yeah. So this is by my friend Steve Fiend. We went to Hubert School together. He was in my class. I knew I wanted some anime-esque covers, and he's really good at that style. So I drew the way I colored this, and this is like super specific colorist mode, what I'm gonna say, but like I didn't look at 90s anime, but I looked at like early 2000s anime, because there is a difference in color styles. You're coming off the 90s, but you're not as upgraded as like the 2010s anime. But it's a very weird specific ism of mine. But I
love 90s anime too. I gotta get in touch. Steve Fiend, you said his name is?
Yeah, Steve is great. Very talented artist. He like I said, he really does a good job. And like he has like a nice balance of like anime and like comic book, like a Western style. But yeah, he did a beautiful job on this cover. And what people don't realize, coloring in this style is weirdly difficult. I cell shade sometimes, obviously, but It's really more complicated than it looks to color in this style. So, but I'm really happy of how the result came with this.
Yeah,
cover.
I really like this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This
then
one's
we have
too.
Our very own Ken Hunt. I met Ken.
Storytelling. I like the storytelling.
Yeah, he did a Reign of Ages cover, and that was my first time really coloring over him. And then I wanted him on a Purity cover, and this one I was like, I want Purity next to a tombstone. I specifically wrote what is said on that tombstone, where it's like it's her tombstone from when she died. May the witch rot in hell. And then when I colored this, I was looking at a lot of Batman Hush and the way Alex Sinclair was coloring cityscapes and such. So it almost gave futuristic Salem kind of like a gothic, but like you could tell it's slightly futuristic and upgraded as well. Lots of like cool tones and warm tones. And then obviously that nice green that just offsets everything. But I had a lot of fun coloring this cover.
Yeah, I mean, I really like it. The tombstone. I remember writing text that appears on panel, like in the art, is something that I'm learning to do as well. Here we go. We got this one. This one is
Courtney Rose Dameron. She's another friend of mine. She does a lot of indie books. You might have seen her stuff around. She has like a really nice, Michael Turner, like an upgraded Michael Turner style. So I knew I really wanted her on this book. And yeah, this is another. This might be my favorite cover of the run that I colored. I don't know. I know it's like it's a more simple drawn, like dialed back cover, but something about the way I colored Purity in this, I really was proud of the outcome.
I like the coloring on this. I mean, I like the coloring on all of them too. I like that one too. This one's cool too. Fabio, I think, is doing my friend Kayla's first published work. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And he's also on a friend of mine, David Sandoval, his book Serum. He's doing the interiors for that as well. But yeah, Fabio's a great guy. I met him through Max DeVille of Atrocity Press. And he has like a nice like 90s style, but same thing as the Ken Hunt cover, where I was reading a lot of Batman Hush at the time, so the cityscapes were Hush-esque. This also shows Purity's power in other ways. So basically how I describe Purity's power with her Hellish Flame magic, it's a non-comical version of Green Lantern. So like, she can make weapons, she can make whips, she can make like fireballs, but you're never going to see her make like an army tank or like an assault rifle out of Hellish Flames. I don't want it to be comical like that, but basically she could use those flames and either just shoot it as a blast or kind of form it into an organic structure. So we're seeing more of that in issue 2, and then issue 3. I have a lot of fun plans, especially with one of the covers. We're playing around with this certain weapon, so it's her hellish magic is really fun.
One of the covers, is there another one that I don't know about coming?
No, for issue 3. This is issue 3.
I was like, dude, you gotta
surprise!
All right, here we go. We're on cover I.
Giselle Legassi. Some people might know her for her work on Pixie Tricks comics. She's a Canadian artist, really big, has a big following. She's done stuff with Udon. She's done stuff with Archie. I think she's done stuff with DC as well. But she's great. And then also, Fran inked this cover. So it's a Giselle and Fran effort. And then I did the colors for this.
That was a lot of fun inking that one. Very clean pencils. Very clean.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we're almost there.
Oh, this guy was in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, Diego. I don't know if Diego's still in the chat, but Diego Ayala.
Diego, I didn't know you were on the book.
Yeah, so Diego did the final cover, and he's also
the final cover. Okay.
Yeah, he's a Hubert. He was one of my classmates. I know him for a very long time. But I wanted him on this. He does a really good job at drawing women, especially like muscle. Like what do people call them these? Like muscle
mommies? Yeah. First of all, the way you tried to do that, where you're like, what are they called? Like as if you don't know. Get out of here. Shut up.
But yeah, Diego draws good, muscly.
John, I'm sorry, we got a super chat. John for $2 says book 4 is just going to be 28 pages of covers.
Yeah. I'll be very honest. I thought maybe after like issue 4, after the trade is out,
you literally could do that.
Issue gallery.
Because I know Coffin Comics did that. They had like a mini book that was like this big, and it was just the entire cover run for all of their books. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. It was like a little mini like art book, but that idea is definitely has been on the table, so you never know. but yeah, this cover is also one of my favorites because I like it just shows just Satan's character, that she can completely turn on her minions, her hellish nuns, whenever she wants, just because. And like, I think that's the hardest. Like, I think I mentioned this a while back, but Satan is actually the hardest character to write, because having a character where morally nothing applies, like she could switch just because, or whenever you give a character a god complex with full control, and
fun, dude.
Like, it's fun, but it's also hard because you want an aspect of it to make sense, but then also you kind of force it not to make sense sometimes because of, like I said, there's no moral ground. She could just do whatever. So with this cover, I wanted her to show her turning on her hellish nuns. And Diego, I did the layout for this cover, and Diego did a really good job. It's a very 90s layout, but I think it really just shows that about Satan. And I had a lot of fun coloring this cover. And all the hellish nuns that have all the different expressions. But yeah, it's one of my favorite covers. All right, and then that's the cover run. We're done. No more covers. We're cut. But I do offer mix and match tiers. If you go to the Satanic Panic tier, if you scroll down, this is a special tier for fans of, if you like Satan. I'm not going to outright call you a Satanist, but
yeah, because
you're a fan of Satan. This tier is for you. It's for $45. I colored this Jen Leonard print, who did one of the covers. Each backer will receive a Satan print that was inspired by the forbidden fruit. And then I have a lot of digital options, which cater to my international fans. Obviously, I have a few international fans that do get the physical copy, but I know how crazy shipping can get. So I want to give them their money's worth as well. If they can't commit to a physical copy, they can get a digital copy and all the digital bundles that come with it. And then all my covers for physical are $15. And then we have mix and match tiers. And then here's the Satanic Panic bundle, where you'll get Diego and Len's Satan covers and the Jen Leonard print, printed print. And then it goes back. I have 3 different tiers of mix and match. So it goes 2, 4, 6. So now you can mix and match 4 covers of your choice. And then I believe, for $90, 6 covers. And then $130, you get the entire cover run sent to you. And you get all 10 covers and a digital PDF. $200, you get digital commission by me. I either do headshots, busts, whatever you want in the survey, any character you want. It could be a Purity character. It could be a Reign of Ages character. It could be your favorite anime character. It could be whatever you want. You'll get a digital commission. And then for $250, you're getting a traditional commission, hand-drawn by me, pencils and inks. And obviously, it's a little more for shipping purposes. And then the final tier is the Futuristic Mystic tier, where you'll get a traditional commission from me, but it's fully colored, and you'll get pretty much everything. You'll get the digital rewards, you'll get the Satanic Panic print, and then you'll get all the covers. So this is like an ideal. This is an ideal tier for any Purity fan, like big Purity fans. I believe I did put the catch-up tier in there as well. And then stretch goals. Each book, I have a trading card available of a new character. So issue 1 was obviously Purity. Issue 2 is Satan.
That's cool.
Drawn by Justin Hunt.
I like this one a lot too. This
stickers.
Print here.
Yep. And that was a print by me. If we hit 7,500, each backer will get this 4x6 Kickstarter exclusive print. I call it 2 sides to a story. You get Satan's side, you get Purity side. And then the final 2 stretch goals you'll get are turning the digital print into a cover, and then the Satan print into a cover. The digital print is by John Porcos. He's also a Kubert grad. He was a student of mine for a long time, but he did a really good job on that print that it was too good not to turn it into a cover.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, so
both of these are beautiful.
Yeah, so those 2 are going to be exclusive covers if we hit, and every backer of the printed copy will get those 2 covers if we exceed $8,500. So it's really, and they're Kickstarter exclusive covers. You won't see them printed anywhere else or reprinted anywhere else. It's solely for this campaign. Other things too, add-ons that are available for this campaign. Obviously, there is the digital tier for catching up to Purity number 1, but an add-on, you'll be able to add on a physical copy of Purity number 1. Due to the amount of copies we have left, the covers are sorted. So there's 6 cover options, so you'll just get one of those cover options. You'll also get which is one. This was like a highly requested thing by a few people. But another add-on I have is a sketch cover. So you could purchase a Purity sketch cover. Either you could find me at a show or commission me to draw something, or you could commission, I don't know, like, Adam Hughes or Mark Silvestri to draw Purity, and then, I'll probably have to buy it off of you again because I would want that. Just kidding. But yeah, so we do have a sketch cover option. And then obviously, since I am a co-creator of Reign of Ages with Sonoma Publishing, which is another it's a high fantasy bad girl series, I'm offering issues 1 through 3 as a digital PDF option. So lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's it sounds like, everyone I know I think you guys are all gonna really like this book. And before we head out, I did want to ask. So Tori, when it comes to, because did you design the logo or who designed?
No, that was
Brian
Nick
Lee.
got someone.
Yeah, Brian Lee. He designs my logos. He designed the logo for Reign of Ages as well. Also, Kubert grad. I have my whole team is pretty Kubert centric. So
that's what I've noticed.
But Brian did the logo, and what I'm doing with each issue, I'm changing the color of the logo, kind of keeping it very 90s. Because if you look at like Witchblade, for example, the logo color on each issue is different. So I wanted to do that with Purity.
Yeah, it looks great, man. This book looks fantastic.
Thank
I think
you.
everyone is gonna really enjoy it. Obviously, having edited it, I can attest to the quality of it. It's going to be a great book. Everyone should go ahead and back it. We have 16 days left. We have gone up. We were at 100 at the start of the stream, so we've gotten 2
more.
Sweet. Thank you.
So 2 more is nice, but let's see if we can get them higher up, guys. This again. Purity, you get tons of stuff. We're less than halfway through the campaign, but we're about to hit halfway. So we're about on par, but let's see how much more of a push we can get and how much we could get on this book. I'm really excited for it. It's the first time my name is ever on a comic book cover. So, fans of me, just letting you guys know that. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Share it out on socials if you haven't. If you backed it, definitely make sure. I think I backed the digital. If not, I'll grab it with all the other stuff in a bit. Sounds good, John.
Thank you.
John's a good man. John is a very good man. All right, and anything else you guys want to? Well, actually, Tori, I wanted to ask, do you have a favorite letterer? Because I feel like letterers aren't given enough credit. I know you probably didn't go to the Kubert school to letter, but
yeah, it kind of honestly was something I fell into. During lettering class, I was one of the only ones that understood what Taylor was talking about. Everyone else was like, their eyes were rolling to the back of their head, and I was like, I'm already done. What do you mean you don't understand what's happening? So it kind of was one of those things where people were like, hey, you're good at this, you should do it. And then more people just kept asking me to letter stuff. So I I pay attention to what people letter. I don't pay attention to their names, which is something I probably should work on.
Yeah.
Tom
So I don't really have a
Wojciechowski.
favorite.
Yeah.
Tom Wojciechowski is the best one.
Yeah. And not to gas Tori up here, but Tori's also been lettering. I don't know if she could say exactly what, but Tori's been doing some lettering stuff with DC at the moment. So
I can say what. Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, the DC webtoons, like the books that they put on the webtoons, they have the trade versions, the printed versions of those, and so specific issues of the Vixen, NYC, there's Zatanna, I don't remember the names of all of them there, but Zatanna, Red Hood, and then Wayne Family. All of after like the second or third issue or like volume, I've lettered all of them. So
wow,
they're slowly coming out. But yeah, issues like 3 and 4 of Vixen are out, and then 2 or 3 of Zatanna, and there's so many. But
gotcha.
So yeah, so that's my little flex, I guess.
That's dope. And Fran, what are your favorite parts of inking? You've been a little quiet down there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Well, I'm inking right now as we speak.
He just pulled that out. He's lying.
Busy man.
He was on his phone.
It's a blank page. Wow, look at this. This is what I'm doing at school. Right, so look, he's getting stabbed. He's dying.
That's awesome, dude.
But I should be inking Purity, actually.
Exposed in 4K.
Exposed on live
He is here promoting the book, so you know he is kind
of
he's
working.
Yeah, I'm excited for the book. Honestly, I really am excited to be inking this one traditionally, especially. I'm having a lot more fun with inking. It's kind of a soul-searching experience of
That is such an interesting way of
because
I'm always excited.
I think everybody wants to be a storyteller who's an artist. At the end of the day, that's the bread and butter. That's what we love creatively. But inking is it's teaching me a lot of new things just about the whole process. So I love it for that.
Do you have any favorite inkers?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm mentally preparing who I think.
I'm going to Murphy. I really like his stuff. I like how clean Walt Simonson's inks are.
Yeah, Walt Simonson's good. I confess I don't spend because I normally just I look at the finished art usually. So my taste isn't as good, but I just know the names that I see as inker a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, Klaus Janson.
Klaus is
Terry Austin.
I like a lot of manga as well. Akira Toriyama, Kohei Horikoshi, the guy who does My Hero. So a lot of just everyone. I try to absorb it all.
That's good, man. Yeah. Well, the book looks great. It's reads great. The script is awesome, and this is just this is issue 2, but it's part 1 of a new storyline. Definitely make sure you get issue 1 when you get issue 2 if you haven't read it yet. Get one of the 1,000, at least one of the 1,000 covers that are here. If you don't get at least one of them, you can't go wrong. You could if you're like, I don't know what cover to get, well, get multiple.
Get them all.
I'm deciding between this one and this one. And if you're ever seeing me at a convention, I'll sign up for you, obviously. I'm sure any of these people will. The creative team is only 4 people, and we're all in New Jersey, right? So, Garden State Comic Fest, I'll bring up with a marker.
So, just to say a couple shows that I have lined up. So, I avidly do a lot of the New Jersey shows. So, all the Garden State shows that are coming up, I will be there. Garden State Anime Fest is coming up end of April. I'm only there on Sunday though, but the June summer show I'll be there all weekend. I'm hopefully I haven't heard back yet, which is kind of concerning because it's a month away, but I signed up for Fan Expo Philly, so I most likely should be there. It's also on the same weekend as Free Comic Book Day. So, but yeah, I'll be there. I'll have copies of Purity on me. I also put my application in for New York. The way Read Pop works, I don't know. I could get into New York. I could very much not get into New York. So we shall find out by like June or July. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be at New York this year.
Gotcha. Everyone check that out. Everyone look forward to it. That's how I got this job, actually. I was walking around New York Comic Con.
Yeah, I think I bumped into you earlier that weekend, and you're like, yeah, I'll be with Michael Golden. I'm like, cool, I'll stop by.
I was walking to Michael's table.
And then like Saturday night,
oh yeah.
And then Saturday, I was like, hey Vaughn, what's your work schedule looking like?
Yeah, and I was like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Back Purity, guys. It's gonna be a good book, and considering how much you improved writing wise just within this second issue, like between 1 and 2, I think your writing has improved so much. I'm excited for it to keep going. So if you want to keep this series going, and it's the last issue didn't come up that long ago, so like this is a guy who will deliver and keep working. If you want to keep us in work, make sure you back this book. If you want a Bad Girl book that's going to come out, at a reasonable time. Yeah.
And I think also too, like why it's so special to me is because obviously the 90s are still prominent in, my veins and just the way comics are moving. But I say this I'm not trying to be pretentious when I say this, but I want to deliver the next wave. I want to kind of pioneer the next wave of Bad Girl books and how they present into the current times, the modern age. So I'm so grateful for like my team and just the endless support for this book, because I do believe in this product. It's been in the making for 14 years, and like I said, I do think this character could really pave the way for that next gen of Bad Girl characters. And like I said, Purity's here to stay. I want that. And I jokingly tell Vaughn this. I want the Witchblade effect. I want the ongoing series. I want the one shots. I want the medieval version of the character for whatever reason. And then my biggest 10-year goal is to have an action figure. This is like my 10-year. But Purity is here to stay. If you like Bad Girl comics, if you like Heaven and Hell characters, if you like Satan, for you Satan fans, you degenerates out there. I'm just kidding. But if you like characters in that realm, definitely consider backing Purity. It's a really fun story. We have a really all-star team on this book, and we're all working really hard on this, and you definitely don't want to miss out. It's a really good product, and I'm very proud at what we have been creating.
Yeah, man. And without further ado, thank you guys so much. Let's see. Go ahead. Do we want to? Let's see. We're at 102. All right, that's a place we'll end the show at. But if you guys haven't already, make sure to check it out. Link is in the chat, and anyone else want to go ahead and promote? Where can everyone find you guys?
You guys go first.
You can find me at my Instagram, crivelli.art.
I thought you about to just say you can find my Instagram and then not say anything.
That's it.
So wait, what is? I'm sorry.
It's crivelli.art. So CRIVELLI.art, and I usually just draw Adventure Time. Only Adventure Time. So it's a fun time.
Definitely. It's an adventure of a time.
Yeah.
And what about you, Tori?
You can find it also on Instagram for Tornado Art, like a tornado, but spelled TORRIENADO art. Yeah. I draw lots of stuff and also post lettering sometimes.
Yeah. And keep an eye on these two, because behind closed doors, I'm not going to say outright what it is, but they both have creator-owned titles that they are planning on unveiling soon.
Awesome.
So definitely keep them on your
come
radar. Really great stuff. I saw some behind the scenes on both stories, and it's looking really awesome. So definitely be on the lookout for these two.
This guy. What would I do without this guy? What would I do without him?
And then you could find me on Instagram and Twitter at Nick Capone Art. Usually posts a lot of just stuff I've colored and obviously purity stuff. I'm pretty active on both of those, or on Facebook. You could find me on Facebook. Yeah.
All right, guys. Oh, Len Danovich came in just in
Hey,
time.
Len. Hey.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, make sure to follow all these people. Make sure to back Purity. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer for my comic book, Phenomenova, which you should sign up for. It comes out April 19th. It launches. Make sure to back it on day 1 because you'll be able to get an exclusive free trading card if you back from the mailing list.
This trailer is awesome. I can't wait to watch it.
We're going to play the trailer. All right,
I love this trailer so much.
All right. And if you guys, by the way, I majored in filmmaking, so if you guys ever need trailers, hit up your boy. And yeah. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines. And they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy. And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenal. For you, Dad. For you.